Well, as we still continue to reflect and observe this Human Rights Day, the poor and marginalized have not seen any gains in the almost 30 years of this democracy, as they remain poor, ravaged by unemployment and widespread inequality, which is at its worst today than at the end of the apartheid era. Now, these are the people who live in shacks as well as informal dwellings with very little to no access to basic services like water and sanitation. So what do these people celebrate today? What has been the gains in this democracy? Is there any hope for change in their daily challenges? To help us unpack some of these questions, we have Mr. Thapelo Mohapi, the General Secretary of Abahlali, Mjondolo. Thapelo, I suppose a happy Human Rights Day to you and welcome. You heard my intro. Do the poor and marginalized have anything to celebrate on this day as we observe 30 years of constitutional democracy and human rights?
Good evening to the viewers. For the poor and marginalized in South Africa, particularly those who are living in shacks, those who are living in farms, farm dwellers, and those who live in the rural areas, human rights is just a story that is told by politicians, that is told by the elites, that is told by some people outside of the country, but we do not see that we still don't have services, basic services such as water and sanitation. There's no refuse collections. We are treated as human waste rather than human beings. Our dignity does not count in the eyes of the government. So we are very surprised when the president today announced that those who have sacrificed for this day, that they have not gone in vain, whatever they have achieved. We are mourning, in fact, the betrayal by the ANC-led government of those who have fought for this right for us to gain, that today we do not have that access to basic services. Women are harassed on their way to seek a basic need like sanitation. There's no water in the informal settlement that is provided. And when we as human rights defenders are speaking about these in KwaZulu-Natal, we are targeted and killed, as it has been a norm over the years.
Now, what, according to you and your research, is still prohibiting government from assisting and reaching the needs of the poor, Thapelo?
Well, we have leaders who do not care about the poor and marginalized. We have leaders who do not have moral standards. There's high corruption that is taking place in government at municipal level, at provincial level, even at national level. So we have politicians who are only interested in enriching themselves and their families, and while the majority of us in shared settlements continue to live under inhuman conditions. Our children still continue to suffer diseases that should not have been happening in a developing country like South Africa. And yet, because monies that are meant to actually uplift and provide these very basic services in informal settlements are used to enrich a few individuals, those who are political elites and those who are politically connected. And we continue to suffer. That's why we are saying it is time that we change the government of the day, because 30 years is a long time. We cannot be speaking about these rights up until today. And the fact that we do not have a flushing toilet, the fact that we are talking about water in 30 years of democracy, for us, there's no human right. It's 30 years of shame, 30 years of indignity, 30 years of being harassed, 30 years of being targeted and being killed because we are poor, because we do not count in the eyes of the government.
So right now, Thapelo, we do not have those political leaders to defend themselves, right? So we're hoping in due time they can come and address some of the issues raised in this interview. But it's always, the issue when we talk from a certain point and not being part of the solution, right? So tell us, are you involved maybe in campaigns to try and galvanize support from government to take a very hard stance in fulfilling those promises made to citizens that are still a pipe dream for most? And tell us about those projects as well as those campaigns that you are part of.
Well, we have, Alicia, tried on many times to engage government, in particularly in KwaZulu-Natal. But the leadership in KwaZulu-Natal has been very arrogant in engaging with us, particularly the human settlement, which is supposed to actually provide decent housing for our people. But if you look at the white paper on human settlement, the draft that we've had contributed and made our contribution on it, it has shown that the government in South Africa is detached from what is happening on the ground. They do not understand, in fact, how many human people have access to housing. And we are saying
Thapelo, all right. Unfortunately, we're losing you there, and unfortunately, I have to wrap this interview. But thank you so much for your contributions. Definitely looking forward to maybe furthering this discussion another time. That is Thapelo Mohapi, the General Secretary of Abahlali Mjondolo.